Welcome to Epicenter, the hub of innovation in the heart of Helsinki, where ideas come to life and creativity thrives, where innovation meets community. Get ready to learn, network, and make an impact. Let's go.
All right, welcome back. It's my turn now. You get to see me for the rest of the afternoon, so I hope that you get used to this smiling face. I have my disco pants on for later on today. I hope you brought yours. It's going to be a pretty wild party, but hey, as you know, we kind of went through what Epicenter is, right, and who we are, so I'm not going to go through that again. But what I will talk about briefly is the fact that we've been running this Into the Metaverse series since the beginning of the year. So this is the fourth event that we've done under the topic. So we've looked at, does the metaverse exist or is it just a fad? We peeked into digital fashion and the transition from a more traditional way of designing to a digital way of designing. Then we looked at the impact that the metaverse will have on society. And now we want to look at avatar tech and how avatars are going to change our lives. Yeah? It's not scary. It's easy. It's scary for me because I'm up here, right, and having to talk about it. But okay, welcome back. So the metaverse, or a network of fully immersive 3D worlds, have been gaining traction in the recent years. It is a concept that describes a future version of the internet where virtual and physical reality are seamlessly integrated and users can engage with a wide range of experiences, activities, and services. As the technology advances, the idea of a shared, persistent virtual space where people can interact and conduct business is becoming increasingly feasible. Because the metaverse is both a 3D and social environment, you need to represent yourself to others, and that is the metaverse avatar. Right? So today we are going to explore how avatar tech is evolving and how avatars will change our lives. Are we ready for that? Yeah, you see, once we clap for ourselves at the beginning, then you're talking to me and I'm talking to you. It's brilliant. Okay, so our first panelist is an experienced graphics technician who has been involved with the internet since the early 90s and has several decades of experience in designing digital and mobile B2B and B2C environments. Previously, he worked as Nokia's virtual CEO for the virtual world Second Life. As a recognized speaker and innovator in this category, he has a deep passion for technology and creativity, which led him to found Digistars, a next-generation creative digital agency. So please help me welcome to the stage Tim, who is the CEO of Digistar. Thank you so much, please. Yes, anywhere you'd like. And also, one note I forgot to mention at the beginning, I am not Finnish. So we are all on a first-name basis today, because I will unfortunately not, or fortunately for you, or fortunately for me, not butcher anyone's last name. Okay, our second panelist believes in the possibilities of new technology and tries to ignore the impossibilities. Lately, he has been knee-deep in the metaverse. To quote our speaker, AI sparks joy because it has no ego, which makes it hallucinogenic. Some use chemicals to kill ego, to transcend. AI uses data in its created in its own image. That's my typo, not you. I did not misquote you. We have summoned the divine by removing ego with neutral network. AI is not sentient, not omnipotent, it's naive, it's pure, and I love it. So please help me welcome to the stage Wesa, who's the metaverse lead of YLE Innovations. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. Avatars are quickly becoming an essential part of our interactions, transcending the realms of identity, social media, e-commerce, remote work, education, healthcare, and beyond. With an ever-growing focus on personalization and immersive experience, Avatar hold the potential to transform how we communicate, learn, and engage with the world around us. So I want to start by talking about a few societal implications of avatars. And so the metaverse avatar is essentially a manifestation of a user within the metaverse, right? We can agree on that. And the avatar can look like a almost anything you can imagine. It might look exactly like you do in the real world, or your avatar might look completely different. A recent study found that 75% of internet users already have some form of avatar online. So as more people adopt digital personas, how do you think avatars will help with users' expression of identity?
Okay.
We start very low. We go.
Small question.
Small question.
Oh wow. I think that first of all, I would need to correct you there because an avatar is not necessarily the user himself, but it can also be an avatar that is operating on behalf of the user. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's you. How it will help in the future, there are millions of ways. Actually, just on the way here this morning, I actually asked myself this question that do we immerse into the metaverse or into the environment, or do we actually immerse into the avatar? Because if we immerse into the avatar, then a whole set of assumptions that we have made about the metaverse are already wrong. So if you look at the possibilities, what you can do with a manifestation of a visual puppet, if you will, on your screen, whether it's representing you or whether it's representing somebody else, actually a whole range of possible game changers of possibilities are actually what I can see. First of all, an avatar can be made to be contextually relevant. So not talking about a computer game where you are like doing some fantasy thing. But what if you're an old person and your partner passed away? And you're basically lonely, and you need somebody to help you, remind you, take your pills, or things like that. So it's a very concrete example, maybe.
As I see the eyes
Yeah,
bulging and the brain working. So tell me, what do you think? How are avatars going to help with the expression of identity?
Yeah, after the idea of immersing into the avatar, my brain is kind of scattered around. I'm collecting the pieces again. But yeah, for me, I look through the eyes of my children quite a lot, and I see kind of a transition maybe towards an avatar type of social media, a bit from the Instagram type of social media towards Roblox type of social media. So I kind of see that both of these are in a way avatar based because you decide who you are on these medias, but it's kind of, it gives a lot of opportunities for young people to like figure out who they are and like see it through the eyes of that creation. And like I always start by saying that in the metaverse there is no like gender given in birth, so that's really like interesting thing that kind of start to think about the possibilities of avatars.
Yeah, or skin color. Also, actually, I had one neighbor in Second Life, and it was a black avatar, and then we met at Meta Meets 2009 or something, like ages ago. Yes. And it was a white dude, and he said, yeah, I just wanted to feel what it was like, and so I could compare how people would respond to me differently if I would have a black skin color. Another example was people who had a virtual mosque, and other people could go in there without being afraid or somehow, but just to be able to have a conversation, and so certain boundaries you can take away also that otherwise might exist.
Yeah. When we talked, you touched a little bit about gender identity and the way to express yourself without parameters, or but there is some lacking, right? There are some equity issues with some of the platforms that exist with gender expression or even age expression. I had a panel a few months ago, and one of the panelists said, "Well, yeah, I created my player on." Ready Player Me, but I am not a young person. But the only way to identify as old was to give myself gray hair, which she didn't have. And so she said, this doesn't feel great. So there's a way to get better at that too, right? If one wants to truly express how they identify as.
I think that like different metaverses have different systems for these avatars, and I kind of appreciate that. Like if you want to represented by a genderless Lego character like in Roblox, then you appreciate that place, and that's a difficult question when, as a designer, you start to build the metaverse avatar creation tools, and make it like more complicated. You are making a lot of decisions for the users and their expression space, and that's quite problematic. Maybe you some users are not appreciating those.
Also, context there is important, of course. If you are, depending on for which purpose you will need a digital carrier of who you are. Could it be business attire, or is it something for fun and play? If you are going to a disco, virtual disco, then you might want to look like funky and funny. So also that flexibility in that way is very important. And maybe a good example about how important the role of the avatar is to people who are playing or adopting these is that if you remember Google Lively in 2000, I think it was 2011 or 9, I'm not sure. They had a massive e-commerce platform. You could trade in digital clothing. Only little mistake they made 12 different variations for the avatar. So the whole world, had only 12 different kind of things. And at the same time, you saw in Second Life people who spent literally 3 months modeling exactly how they wanted it to look, and that was also something that makes you understand that people really do identify through their avatar. And when I was acting on behalf of Nokia in Second Life, we produced a virtual shop there, we produced all the phones, you could attach them to your avatar. It was great fun. But people started asking me, do you really work for Nokia? And I said, yeah, I do. Wow, that's not really a job, right? That's just playing a game. That's so cool, that kind of thing. But then I learned that this avatar grows out of your control. It is what people perceive you to be. It's not who you are. So you can be just about anyone you want to be in certain context. So the context is key.
I want to touch a little bit on socialization and communication. Right. So a recent McKinsey report found that 20% of the population say that they will spend more time exercising, working, reading, and shopping online in the near future. And already 10% of the population has tried AR or metaverse dating. And a majority of the people who tried it felt like they'd liked dating more in the metaverse than in real life. How do you think avatars will change the way that we interact with each other online? And what are new opportunities or challenges that might emerge when we think about socialization and communication?
I think that trust is a problem that we have online at the moment. Massive problem. Trust in public institutions with IT solutions, which was mentioned earlier here in the impact report. But I think that if you look at gaming environments where people use avatars, I think you see higher trust levels emerging in these environments, even though people are still strangers, have still never met each other, and yet in World of Warcraft or Fortnite or in Second Life, you see people even like virtually marrying each other. Like they build relationships of trust, and I think we should not ignore the role of the facilitating technology in between the human beings, and I think that's where the avatar helps us. It makes the formal informal, where it doesn't need to be too formal. And when we are in environments like Facebook, where basically the whole world is a form, and now we're trying to have a social interaction with each other through forms. And the avatar takes that formality away, and it adds that informality, what you would expect to have when you interact with other people. So.
Yeah, I think it's you mentioned gaming words, and that's really nice because the avatars have a goal. For example, to slay the dragon, and you have a healer who heals you, and you can trust that avatar, and maybe you start to build some sort of relationship through that dynamics, and that carries on out of that metaverse to the real life. So I see a lot of possibilities of how that dynamics.
If you think opportunities from a business perspective, the issue of trust in IT is an issue. So would you trust the healthcare app or to put your data in? Then the big issue. But the company has my data. Okay, that is an issue. But if you have a friendly virtual character that is coaching you in a friendly manner and you start to build a relationship with it, of course you have to trust that security of your data. But to overcome these inhibitors, what we see a lot today, I think the avatar is the
Do you think there's too much
mechanism.
emphasis right now on, so if we go back to socialization and meeting, do you think there's too much emphasis right now on spending too much time online being a detriment? And we look at that from a mental health capacity, from socialization and tools.
Do you remember when the computer first came and it was supposed to save us all time? Do you remember that?
I mean, I'm a little younger than
we could play outside all day long. You know, in football they say let the ball do the work. Why don't we create avatars? Let them do the work so we can go play.
Oh. Big smile there. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's so scary. I try to avoid thinking about autonomous avatars like to the end, but like AI and enhanced type of thinking, it gets quite interesting. But at the moment, like what I see is like actual social dynamics building their bond. So that's meaningful for my kids, for example. And when they leave their avatar bodies and emerge the real world, they will still carry on a lot of stuff that they learned through that journey. So,
and we touched on trust and security, which I have a question for that. But before we go there, the world of e-commerce, avatars can help streamline the online shopping experience by allowing users to create personalized digital representations of themselves. The use of virtual try-ons and personalized avatars has led to a 30% reduction in product returns. This is based on a report from Jones. So how will continued development of avatars in this space transform the online shopping experience? And what strategies can businesses adopt to leverage these technologies for increased customer satisfaction?
Wow, that's also a big question. Yeah,
it's a boring question, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a lot of risk in the execution where the implementation. The idea is great, the implementation sucks. So there are like sensitivities about the psychology of the internet visitor who uses the avatar. I think you have to take that very, very seriously. You used to say customer is king. Nowadays we're like, okay, the e-commerce solution is ready. Let's get it live and rush it through and then look at the numbers. And we're forgetting the human being that we're actually trying to target. So how do we have these meaningful conversations with the consumers? How do we, when they come back to us, how do we remember that it's them? If you have a retail shop, brick and mortar shop, and you come in every day, I recognize you. But if you deleted your cookies and now you come in, I'm like, I've never seen you before. So also there is an avatar role to play.
But we talked a little bit about ease, right? You mentioned that we should just be making our lives easier. So this virtual try-on experience is doing that, right? For me, making me a little easier. I don't have to go into the store to try it on. I can essentially see what it looks like on me. And I mean, 30% reduction in product returns is nothing to laugh at.
With an avatar in virtual goods, you will be research. It was already very old, 15 years ago. That impulse buying is, of course, much higher when you can buy a virtual good for a fraction at the cost and try it on a virtual digital copy of yourself, which you use for trying on your clothes. It doesn't mean that you have to show that to the whole world the whole time. So there is an issue with privacy. If you try on new clothes, you want to try that on for yourself in a dressing room. So there is an issue of ownership of your data. And then there is your public persona, what you want to be seen and perceived by others. So to be able to control that, I think is very important.
I kind of don't see that in a way avatar tech. It's more like just new ways to enhance the business, because I'm not sure if I'm that like you said, I'm going to the avatar body, and it's more like I'm just using a tool to make fitting clothes simpler. Maybe it's kind of I see
It is
kind
doing
of
that,
a
yeah.
different
It is
way.
doing that, yeah.
I'm not
I'm a
that-
bit radical in that way because I think that the very basic way that we as humans interact with computers is so old-fashioned, guys. Really, with a mouse, really serious? Is that what we're doing? You know, I mean,
with the touchpad, it's even-
yeah. I mean, that is so outdated. So if you really forget everything you know, and you would take 1,000 people who don't know what can't be done, what would they want to see? How would they apply these possibilities that we have today? So you know, there are a lot of new opportunities technology-wise with the ChatGPT and the avatars. A lot of risks there as well. But what's the really contextually relevant way to utilize it?
Yeah, 25 minutes goes really quickly, so I
Sorry.
just looked at my clock. Holy cow! On our call, we talked about trust. I want to leave with this question. And whether avatars can facilitate this, and a growing concern surrounding avatars is the potential misuse in the form of deep fakes and cyber, deception. So, considering that deep fake technology has advanced rapidly, what is being done to address this risk while still promoting the positive aspects of having an avatar?
Funniest thing I read was about that API for a musician, that anybody can then create new songs using the voice of their favorite musician and then make their own creations of that. Yeah, at some point, how do you control it? Yeah, the systems that we already have in place to control it, it's probably illegal, but technically possible. So, we're definitely going to see some borders being challenged going forward before we know where that boundary really is. And I think that is coming from the internet itself. I mean, it's a luxury to come here together and see you all in the flesh. But think about the internet. It's like 10,000 people in the same room, right? And they're all like sharing and trying and tinkering. And there's no way that we can sort of limit that level of people's inspiration and passion to try something new. And so I believe we will see a lot of new stuff happening.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of the deepfake and these technologies, because how I see it is that, again, the next generation, they are Richard Deckard from the Blade Runners. They just, they can detect, they have these magical ways of playing around with the new technologies in a way that's kind of super meaningful. So I think things will just figure it out themselves quite easily. We just, come up with all these scary stories, and some of those, unfold, and some most don't. And it's illegal, basically. To do illegal stuff. So, are we scared of people doing illegal stuff?
Do you remember? Do you remember how YouTube was illegal? How Napster was illegal, and how this is now mainstream? Indeed. Over time, we will learn what really sticks. But I'm really excited about the new opportunities that the combination of ChatGPT with Avatar as a visual gives. And I have already thought for many years that when it comes to metaverses, that the focus is too much on generating fictitious environments, or cool to be in this particular location, or a virtual version of this location or that location. I've done all that, and it's very much fun. But what it comes down to is the Nokia used to have this sentence called connecting people. So how do we measure really how connected we are with other people? How can we put a hold on that, some kind of measure?
So normally this is when I'd open it up for Q&A, but he has another panel that he has to go to. So we're gonna wrap this up here. But they're gonna be sticking around, right, today for the event. So if you have any questions, please directly ask them. But give one huge round of applause to Tim and Wesa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, please. Well, just really quickly, I'll do a little wrap up here. So. Next panel, we have 15 minutes. Next panel is on talent. Don't want to miss that. So see you soon. Thank you so much.